I've got a quick video today, which is hopefully going to help two kinds of people. One, if you're a beginner, to try and help you improve your finger strength. And I know that I've been doing a lot of beginner tip videos recently, but I've also had some people in contact with me say, really like some videos for some more advanced players, and they will also be coming along soon. So I thought I'd try and kill two birds with one stone today and show you an exercise that can help beginners develop some finger strength, but also some more advanced players if they want to learn to improve their improvising. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the camera down, turn it around. Here we go. Now, depending on your ability level and depending on how long you've been playing and how familiar you are with the notes, some of this may come as old hat and some of it may be new information. We're just going to quickly try and establish some boundaries. So this note here is middle C, and this note here is the next C up. And all we're going to do is we're going to focus on this range of notes here, which for those of you who are new to this kind of stuff is what we call an octave. This C and this C, we would say, are an octave apart. But before we even go as far as that, we're just going to focus on 5 notes. Now, depending on how advanced you are, you may want to try this with a different set of notes in a different key. If that means something to you, great. If not, then don't worry about it. But for now, I'm just going to do it on these 5 notes from C up to G. Now, when you are a beginner and you're trying to develop your finger strength, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get used to the fact that your fingers need to ideally stay in contact with the keys when you're pressing them down, like that. And you're also trying to build up some stamina, so to get used to the fact that your fingers are going to stay on the keys and you're playing for longer and longer as you develop your skills and stamina, much like if you were learning to do some kind of sport or running, and you try to build up your stamina so you can do it for a longer distance. So when you are learning to improvise and you're a little bit more experienced, sometimes one of the things that happens is people say when they're improvising, oh, I can't think of notes fast enough, or I don't know what to play, and I can't come up with ideas fast enough. And one of the things I always say to people who are improvising, and for those of you who don't know, improvising is just, it usually gets explained as making something up as you go along. There's slightly more to it than that, but the concept is if someone shouts piano solo and you've suddenly got a band playing along and you need to be able to solo something over the top of it, then you need to be able to play some notes that are going to sound good, hopefully, and not some notes that are going to sound awful. So here is a very simple exercise. Clearly, I can't show you how to do it all in one video, but I'm going to show you a very simple exercise that you can do to try and improve your finger strength if you're a beginner and be able to solo better if you are trying to learn how to improvise and you've been playing a bit longer. So in order to help with this exercise, I'm going to use what's called a metronome. A metronome is something that looks like this. I've got this app ready here. And I'm sure some of you would recognize a metronome from a real metronome, perhaps you saw when you were a child. If you've ever had piano lessons, your piano teacher might have had a metronome sitting on top of the piano. Mine did, but now we have apps. You just want a free metronome. There's loads of them on your app store, depending on which device you have. So what we're going to do is we're going to set that click going, and you might have noticed it says 60. And what that is, that's 60 beats per minute. So that's how many times that's going to click per minute. So obviously 60 is 1 per second, which is quite a steady speed to start off with. Now, all I want you to try and do is to put your fingers, 5 fingers on 5 keys, and you're going to play one note on every click, and it doesn't matter which of the 5 notes that they are, okay? But you can't stop. You can't miss a click. You can't lift your fingers off the keys. If you're a beginner, I don't want to see any fingers flying in the air. But 1 note per click. Now, this is not necessarily going to sound like the best piece of music you've ever heard in your life. But what it's going to do, the longer you keep going, is it's going to get your fingers used to the fact that you're building some strength up. You're getting used to playing the piano for a longer period of time. And the random nature of it is getting your fingers used to the fact that notes and tunes can come in any order of fingers. And what it's doing for someone who's a bit more advanced is you're getting used to soloing. Now at the moment, I've only got 5 notes to play with, so it's not going to sound like the best solo in the world. But that doesn't matter. And depending on how advanced you are, you could keep that going for however long you like. And if you wanted to do it in a more advanced key, because you've been playing for a longer time, you know, you could do it in, that would be the equivalent in B flat major. Don't worry about it if you don't know what that is at the moment. But the concept is the same. Now, what you would then try to do is, we're trying to just change the sets of parameters to try and make it a little bit more advanced. So going back to the octave that I described before, where I've now got 8 notes to choose from, I could do the same exercise, but now I would give myself 8 notes choice. Set the metronome going again. And again, it doesn't matter what order they come in. It doesn't matter what finger you press them down with necessarily, but try not to do, depending on how advanced your knowledge is of fingering, we don't want to see any fingers coming over the top like that. That would be bad technique, so don't put a finger over the top. You can put fingers over the top of a thumb, but not over the top of another finger, okay? So fingers can come over the top of a thumb, but not over the top of another finger. I've got a video on my YouTube channel and probably elsewhere on this Facebook page called The Pianist's Sleight of Hand, and it's the idea of being able to bring your thumb underneath or fingers over the top. So check that out. But for now, you're just trying to make a tune up with any of those notes you like within the parameters that you've set yourself. And you're getting used to playing one note on every beat. And that's another thing that's improving. Getting used to playing along with the drummer, and so on. Start the metronome. That's an exercise that you can do involving 8 notes. And again, you could do it within any key you like, depending on what your knowledge is. You could do it in any major or minor key. And again, all you're trying to do is you're setting yourself different sets of parameters. So the first one I did had 5 fingers and 5 notes. Then we branched it out to 8 notes within 1 octave. But you could make it whatever you like. And whilst I'm doing it in C major at this stage, to keep it all on the white notes for beginners, you could do it in any major or minor key if you're more advanced and you want to start working on your improvisation. And of course, what you then do is you start to make it get a little bit faster. And so depending on how you want to do it, there are 2 different ways you could do it. One way would be to increase the speed of the metronome to say 70 beats a minute. So it's a little bit faster. And so on. Up to 80 or whatever. So you could do it by increasing the speed of the metronome, or an alternative, if you want to be a bit more advanced, is rather than adjusting the speed of the metronome, if I put that back to 60, well, 58, 60, doesn't matter at this point, and set that going. There we go. Rather than doing 1 note per click, I could do 2 notes per click, which obviously makes it 120, really. And it doesn't matter what notes I play again, what finger lands on it. The idea is consistency. 2 notes per click. It might take you a little while to get up to this, and that doesn't matter. And then you could go to 3 notes per click. Then 4 notes per click. And so on. Turn the camera out. There we go. So I hope that helps you. Try it out. Depending on how advanced you want to get, you can do it in any key you like, major or minor key. If you're just for a beginner, it's just going to build up some finger strength, some consistency. Playing to a pulse is a really important musical skill as well if you want to learn to play with other musicians. But even if you're just going to play on your own, to be able to have that consistency of staying in time, having a musical pulse is really, really important. And then, as I say, if you want to do some more advanced skills and you want to improvise, set yourself some parameters. 5 notes, 8 notes. If you were more advanced, you could do it over a 2-octave range. You could allow yourself to do 2 notes at once if you want. Whatever the parameters are, in whatever key you're going to do it, depending on how advanced you are, that should help to improve your improvising as you go. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that's helped you. If you'd like a free beginner lesson sent to your inbox right now, you can go to markdeeksmusic.com/beginner and I'll send that straight to you and get you started on your journey to become a beginner piano legend. I'm going back on the sofa because I ran 13 miles yesterday. Have a fantastic week and I'll see you next week, 4 o'clock on a Monday, UK time, for another free tip video. Take care and see you soon.